Hey everyone, welcome back to Tech State of Mind with me, Bernie Uche. Thank you for everyone who's listened to the episodes thus far with Siobhan and Diraj. Really enjoying the feedback we've gotten and the support we've gotten so far. And today I'm really excited to bring a wonderful guest to you, Kishawna Peck, founder and CEO of Woven. Woven's a global community working to make the future of AI and data more inclusive. Kishana is an emerging voice in artificial intelligence and a passionate advocate for increasing representation in data and tech. She's a speaker, she's an author, she's a mentor. We collaborate on a couple of things which we'll talk about. Um, and through Woven, formerly Women in Data Science, she's building programs, events, and communities that help more women and underrepresented groups gain the skills, confidence, and opportunities to participate in the AI economy. Kishana, thanks for joining me today on Tech State of Mind. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. What's keeping you busy these days?
Our conference. Our conference is in 2 months. Yeah, two
Hmm.
months. It'll be our ninth one. So even though it's the ninth one, it still feels like there's so much to do and so much to learn.
Ninth, congratulations. Nine. Wow, nine conferences. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And this one looks like it's going to be huge from what I
Yeah.
see.
I'm
So
really excited.
awesome. All right, so let's get into this game of this or that. That's how I like to start the podcast.
Okay.
People get to know you a little bit, and then we'll get into a formal introduction where you get to do yourself more justice than I can do. Okay.
Okay.
So startup or big tech?
Let's start out.
Startup. You you do run a startup, so I guess it makes sense, right? Any particular reason for that?
I feel like you're able to grow more in a startup environment than big tech. Like
Yeah.
you're able to like with big tech, like yes, there's more people that you could learn from, I guess. But I feel like if you're comfortable like failing and learning and growing, the startup environment is good for that. You could even find one that's more of like a scale up, like an in between. If you're too scared of startups.
Mhm. I think that makes sense. You're thrown to the fire. You got to figure it out, right? In a
Yeah,
startup, and you learn a lot about yourself and a lot about the people you work with and the business that you're in.
yeah.
Sometimes more so than in sort of in the big tech space.
Mhm,
So
and you have more agency of, like, the work
mm,
that you do, right?
mhm.
Because they're usually under-resourced, so you learn different things that can
Right,
help you in your career.
right. And you have like a direct impact on the business, right? So
Yeah.
no, yeah, I hear you. Uh, I'm interested in your take on this one because
Mhm.
I know you've done both. So, remote work or in-person office work?
Remote.
Tell me
Remote,
why.
remote. I would say I just feel like for me, like, I'm able to have better control over, like, what I eat during the day.
Mhm,
I feel like I can get my point across through the screen. You really don't need to see me for that.
mhm,
Also, I feel like the discrimination is different through virtual platforms than in person. Like it might lessen the impacts a little bit, even though there's still like a lot of secrecy and things like that that happen in virtual formats.
mhm,
And I feel like it provides more of like, I hate the word balance, but like a work life balance that like I can't even, it makes no sense to me that they're making you guys go back to work and like do all of that commute, spend
mhm,
all of that money on food. Just like, why wouldn't you want them to have a more balanced lifestyle in order to perform? It doesn't make sense to me.
mhm. I hear that. I hear that. I think some kind of hybrid scenario is probably, it's the compromise, it's the in between that sort of makes sense because
Maybe like 2 days a week.
you know what? I know some people that are going back to five, and I was like, "Oh, that's
Madness.
interesting. That's tough. That's tough right
Mhm.
there." Because especially like, I think a lot of, so I have two kids, and I think a lot of parents they love this, right? Because flexibility in picking up your kids and whatever else that you can sort of organize your day in a way that sort of works better for you and your family. But
Mhm.
I went I went down to my office today, and I like being in the office like I do. There's a sense of I can just grab someone and just have a conversation and take them to lunch, and
Mhm.
those things are awesome, and that energy you feed off it. But I live in Mississauga, commute downtown, and that commute was not easy,
Yeah.
so that there's a good and the bad for sure.
And this is coming from someone who used to walk to work. Like, it would be like a 10, 15-minute walk, and I'm telling you still.
Oh, still, oh my god,
Yeah.
oh my god. Okay,
So, I'm
okay.
very much work from home, but I mean, like, I understand some businesses want people back into the office, but I just think if you're gonna have your team back in the office, you should have some additional supports,
Hmm.
maybe some free childcare, maybe some free lunch, like, maybe some flexibility, maybe let them leave before rush hour. Know what I mean? Like, something
Hmm.
that makes sense, because
Hmm.
it's very interesting for me anyways that I find, like, in the tech businesses, they're, like, all about, like, personalizing for the user and everything, but you don't wanna
Mm.
personalize for the staff.
Mhm. That's,
That makes
ooh,
sense?
ooh. I okay, I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna use that one. I like that. I like
Use
that.
that at your next all hands.
Mhm. It's yeah, yeah, and it's a good point. When I was at Google for a little bit, I learned that the reason they give you free food and the
Mhm.
gym, basketball course is actually to foster collaboration and bring you together in the office space. I thought it was just this is what we believe in until I was told otherwise. So yeah, hey, to your point, if you're gonna ask for it, make it worth the while, right? So
Yeah.
two more I'll ask you. Do you still get to be hands-on, technical, or strategic? And if like, what do you prefer?
Um, it's a mix. It matters on the consulting projects that I'm working on. So I have some where I'm hands-on, and I have some where it's like just straight like AI strategy.
Hmm.
I prefer the strategic side just because I get to like think bigger, like for me anyways, and
Hmm.
like think through my processes more. But I don't mind the technical side because I do get to like use skills that I'm not normally using.
Gotcha, gotcha. And last one, I think before we start recording, you may have given me a hint, but I'll ask it anyway. Uh, Early morning productivity or late night deep work?
Early morning productivity.
Mm, okay.
Just so you guys know, Bernie has me here at 8:30 p.m.
Yes, yes,
And
yeah.
I'm a morning girl.
I feel bad. I feel bad. I'm a late night like deep worker. I don't know if it's it's because of I have to or because of who I really am. I don't know anymore. All right. Thanks for playing this or that with me. I really like. I love that. I think it's fun and it's a quick way to get to know you. But um, I would love if you could also just introduce yourself the way that you would if this was. I know you haven't had a job interview in 9 years
5
because
years.
you're running your own thing. 5 years running your own thing.
8
But
years.
if
It's a long
is it
time. Well,
oh,
like my last role, I was in it for like 3 years, and I've been out since July 2021, so that would be like 7, almost 8 years with no
mhm.
interviews.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Resume's dusty, huh?
Exactly. It's dusty, and it's just probably will never get used again, but that's okay. It's
love
neither here nor
love
there.
that. Love that. Love that. But if in your own words, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Mhm. Okay, let me think. So I am a first generation Canadian. So my
Hmm.
parents are Jamaican. And I feel like that shapes how I move through the world, how I think about community. I'm also the oldest sibling, so I've always been like a builder, a helper, like a guider person. Outside of work, I'm actually really creative. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a singer. My favorite singer is
Mm.
Luther Vandross.
Luther
I can
Vandross. Okay.
yeah, I love Luther Vandross. I can sing, I can dance. I write like the songs I used to write. I forgot the melody to them, so I made them into poetry. I actually published a poetry book.
That's
I
awesome.
like Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm letting them know I have other sides, right?
You know what? It's important to have those other sides. It's
Exactly. I
important.
feel like
My
you
dad
need a
was all about
Yeah. So, and I also have a dog named Teddy. He is my only dependent. I feel like he needs to get a job though, because things are starting to get a little costly with him.
that. Mm,
I've been in data and AI for 10 years. I got into the field by accident. I actually wanted to be a consultant, and I thought the best way to back up my ideas that I came up with as a consultant, because I thought consultants just like come up with ideas. This was my young, like just graduated undergrad self. I thought that, okay, like if I can back it up with information, then I'll be like a ironclad consultant, like as long as I can
Mhm.
back up whatever I'm saying. And then I found out that that was data analytics. I took a post grad after my economics degree. And while I was doing my post grad, I was doing my internship at the same time. I convinced the place I was doing my internship that they needed to hire me full time because these were all the capabilities they didn't have. I
Uh-huh.
ended up being the first data person in the product department. I was there for about 3 years, and I helped come up with, like, the guidelines and things like that as far as any reporting and analytics for all, like, product portfolios.
Yep.
And then I switched companies, and in that capacity, it wasn't just product, I was helping all the different groups. And again, just from coming up with ideas about what we should do for a corporate data strategy, I ended up being promoted in like 4 months or something like that.
Mhm.
And I started growing a team, and I was the most senior data person there. I left that role in July 2021 because of discrimination. It was messing with my mental health and my physical health. And I said, well, I do have my side hustle, because Woven was a side hustle then, even
Right.
though by then I would have been on like my fourth or fifth conference. And I was like, well, like this is gonna have to make some sense.
Right here.
So I'm 4 years now working full time for myself. We've had over 6,000 women attend our events across Canada. I have had sponsors like RBC, Misplay, the
Mhm.
Government of Canada, Snowflake, and I wear a lot of hats.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
basically like me in a nutshell, I would say.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You
Mhm,
you mentioned something that I just want to pull a thread on a little bit, in
mhm,
that you were an intern and you
mhm.
convinced the company to hire you on full time
Yeah,
because basically there were a bunch of gaps in capabilities that you could fill.
yeah,
By the way, that's what consultants do all the time. So you're already thinking like a consultant in terms of, hey, you got these gaps, and here's how we can help you resolve them. So you were well on your way by that point.
yeah,
Um, but even your promotion, it seemed like you did a similar thing, and that here's the value that I have to offer.
mhm,
Does that come naturally to you, or like how did you? Because
mhm.
early on in people's careers, they don't really think about like, there's these gaps, and here's how I can
Yeah.
attach myself to those and provide value. So was that something someone helped you learn, or how did that come to you?
No, that's completely natural. Like I do that by accident, and it tends to work out. Like the with the internship situation, it was my capstone project, and I was like, what if I use this capstone project to like secure my full-time role? Like literally the same day that I went to Lee's restaurant. You know Lee's restaurant? It's like downtown on King or something.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. I I did like a fake shift there. They make you do like a fake shift to see if you could do it. And then they
Hmm.
said that they wouldn't take me because they were like, "You're really not supposed to be here, girl. What are you doing here?" And
Mm,
I left there and I was crying. And then my boss at my internship called me the same time and was like, "Oh, like I was able to get you a full-time role." So like
mm,
I was always like I went to bartending school just in case I didn't have a job after this internship. Like I always
mm,
had a pivot. And I feel like the solutioning, like I feel like if I'm working with someone and we're on the same team, like I'm going to think of things that benefit us. And
mhm,
whether or not that makes you think to put me in a different position to like promote me or to hire me full time or whatever it is, like that's fine. But I feel like I'm just naturally thinking of how to solve problems, and
mhm.
that's been the most exciting part of me being in data and AI, is, like, there's always some problem to solve. It feels like puzzles for me.
Is that when you talk about sort of puzzles? I see that from your LinkedIn profile that you are a financial assistant, and that seems to be you know finance and math. It's about puzzles. It's about solving those puzzles and putting the pieces together to get to a solution. Is
Mhm.
Have you always been sort of a numbers girl, or
Oh,
did you have to develop that?
no. So in grade 10, actually, my grade 10 teacher told me that I didn't have to, grade 10 or 11, whichever one, that after that you don't have to take any more math. I think it was 11. My grade
Hmm.
11 teacher told me I didn't need to take any more math. I was so happy. I was like, yes, yes, this makes sense to me. No more math. And then grade 12, I'm there trying to figure out what program I can take. I can't take anything because I decided not to take math.
Oh.
So I actually ended up in a sociology program, and I
Mm.
was writing all my papers the night before because writing is easy for me. Like it's very like, as a poet, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Mm-hmm.
writing all my papers the night before, and then I was like, oh, like I want a challenge. And I switched schools. So I switched from Ottawa U to York, well, to Glendon, because I thought I only had two choices because I also am bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
And I switched to economics because I was a transfer student. They don't check for your math. So I'm in first year economics teaching myself calculus and advanced functions so I can get through the class. And like that's how I ended up being able to understand math at all. So
Oh.
it was never so I thought I escaped math and math just followed me everywhere.
Oh wow, you taught your oh wow. So I did economics at U of T as well,
Mhm.
and I didn't I didn't actually realize because I don't the high school I went to, like
Mhm.
we did econ higher level, but it was math, sure, fine, but it was very theoretical, like that, and
Yeah.
I loved it. Like I love understanding how the world works in that sense. And I was like, I'm gonna do like econ in university, and I was like, there's so much calculus and there's so
Yeah.
much math in this, and what is going on? And like, oh my god, I don't want anything to do with this, and I ran away from it. Not econ, I graduated with that, but I ran away from sort of you know uh numerical side of it, so to say, because it's
Mhm.
not for me. I'm an ideas guy. I'm a pure consultant in
Yeah.
that way. So
It
that was
literally never
interesting.
left me because I was like undergrad, math, postgrad, math, my master's in AI, math. Like literally, it was everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. But once you realize that really it's like grade 11 and 12 math, just like recycled,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of disarmed me to be like, oh, like I get this. I've literally done this class like 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was it specifically about data science, and then ML and AI, like starting with data science? What was it specifically about that you went, this is for me? Like this is where I need to be.
I like the patterns again.
Mm-hmm.
I like the patterns and the fact that the information that I come up with helps influence strategy, like actually. Like I'm not doing this just for fun. It's not some pretty dashboards I'm making or something like that. It's actual like information that's used like on the executive level.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for me that's kind of like a high to be like, okay, like I know the work that I'm doing actually causes impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was ever a case that I was just doing work that I don't see the impact of the work, that I become completely unmotivated. And that's probably why I chose like the startups versus the big companies. Because
Mm-hmm.
I imagine like in a bigger company, it'd probably be harder for me to see the impact of the work I was doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, you mentioned in your introduction that you suffered discrimination, and that was, if I heard you correctly, that was one of the big reasons, if not the reason, that you decided to leave where you previously worked.
Mhm.
Um, and you also said that you pivoted and you sort of always have a backup plan, if I put it that
Yeah.
way. Was that the case here, or was this just, this is too much? I have to leave, and I'll figure it out later.
My best friend, like every day, she'd be like, "Are you gonna quit that job?" it's time to quit that job. We already put in the calendar, you're supposed to quit that job. But like I wouldn't quit because I was like, okay, like I need to, have a good nest egg, figure out my next role. Like I literally did an interview and like it was between me and someone else and they took the other person. That's fine. And then I went on a trip for my birthday and it was out of town and I could actually sleep. So like I wasn't sleeping well before. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't sleeping well. I'd be crying in the middle of the day. Like I was clenching my fists as I was sleeping,
Ah,
and I was doing therapy like regular, like once,
uh,
twice a week. And
um,
when I was away out of town, like I could actually sleep. My body felt relaxed, and I was like, "Oh, like I need to, I need to quit this job." So I
uh-huh.
went back and I gave my notice. Like I was like, "Okay, we only have enough money to last us." I gave my notice like end of June, like July, and I had enough money till like September, October. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, "Okay, you have like a month to play with, but after that you have to make money." And that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
But
and
ideally, I would have hoped to have like 6, 12 months in the back somewhere in a cash thing, but no.
right.
Yeah. It wasn't like that.
But life doesn't always work that way, right?
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Mhm. Did you and you said you
Even
started
went
making
as far
money.
as like my accountants told me not to quit. They were like, "Don't do this. It doesn't make sense." Like I had them look at the
Yeah.
numbers and they're like, "No, you should wait until like October, November." And I just came back and was like, "No." I'm like, "No."
I mean, look, I've given a lot of people the same advice as your accountants, right? Because especially I don't know, this was more than 10 years. Was this 10 years ago or was this during like Woven? Like so it's not
2021
okay, so
when
not
I left.
too
Yeah.
far. No, no, not too far. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because right now things are tough, right? So I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, like, listen, I know you hate it. If you can find something else to pivot into,
Mhm.
like, please do that because it's tough out there. But not a hard and fast rule, to me anyway,
Mhm.
because you got to protect yourself
Mhm.
from you know just bad situations. I mean, we have to step into bad situations, but we can't just keep taking and taking and taking, right? Like you got to give back to yourself a little bit, even if it is some kind of respite, so you can breathe and not sleep clenching your fists. You like you were like that can't be good. That can't be
Yeah,
good.
because I'm a very high functioning person, but it's like that means like I have high functioning depression, high functioning anxiety. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Hmm.
my work doesn't change. Like the quality is still the same, but my mental health is deteriorating at the same time. And
Um,
I also would never boost anyone to like quit your job with no plan. Like the reason why it works for me is like a mix of like luck, a mix of the fact that like I'm going to hustle to get what I need to get. Do you know what I
um,
mean?
mhm,
So if you don't have that same pull and if like the lucky charms are not in your order at that time, it
Hmm.
might make no sense at all.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Was the pivot straight into Woven and like fully building that, or did you pivot into
It was
another
straight
job
into
first?
Woven. So I had Woven as a side hustle from 2018.
Hmm.
So it's like I still had the business was running the whole time I was working full time.
Hmm.
And that year I had hit six figures too. But like six
Hmm.
figures revenue is not like I need us to aspire to bigger, like sevens and
Right,
eights. Yeah.
right.
But like I did have that as kind of like a baseline to know that I can make more money so that I can take care of myself.
Hmm. And what was the inspiration for Woven?
The inspiration for Woven, I was the only data person in a department in the product department, and there was no one for me to look up to or teach me anything. So I was very serious about my like continuing education. So I would
mhm,
look for courses to take, events to go to, conferences to go to every quarter. Like it was very serious every quarter. And one quarter when I was looking, I found one for women in data, but it was mostly in the States. And I was like, oh, someone should probably do something like that here. And then I convinced myself that I could do it because I thought it was gonna be small. I thought it was gonna be in, like, the back of the library, like, in one of those, like, empty rooms in the back of the library, but we ended up having over 100 attendees. I sold out in a week. I planned it all in 6 weeks. I was able to get, like, RBC as a sponsor, the Ontario government, SAP. Like, I don't know how I did it. I think we can like chalk it up to youth,
Mm-hmm.
because it was literally just something where I didn't know the full staircase. It was like one step at a time. It's like once I
Right.
got one thing, I was like, okay, what's the next thing?
Right.
And instead of worrying about having like a complete plan, I was just like, what are the things I need to do today for this to work? I didn't even have it as a business at first. I got my first sponsorship, like this first like confirmation. And they were like, oh, where do we send the money to? I'm here thinking they can just send the money to me. And they were like, no, we need a business to send it to. The next day I was at the bank, like, can I open a business account? And they're like, no, you need to register your business. Then I had to go register my business and then go back to the bank and then go back to them and say, I'm a business now. I literally didn't know what I was doing at all.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Well,
It
you
was literally just one foot in front of the other.
figured it out on the on the fly.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, you know what? Like, to your point, that this is in many ways startup life, right? A lot of people who come up with great ideas have no idea what that means, right?
Hmm.
And then you either fortunate enough to have mentors or structure or network, or you have to figure it out, right? And I think one of the things in our community, the Black community, is, and which is why we ended up collaborating on Black Mint, is we don't always have that, right? Like kids don't always have that to understand, here's how things are done. You
Yeah.
either figure it out like you do, or it doesn't even cross the radar, right?
Yeah.
So and that's a big gap that we have to fill. And I think you're filling that for women in the industry and underrepresented people in the industry right there, who not everyone can do what you did, right? So you can help them
I can't
as
even do what
far
I
as
did
their science
anymore.
is concerned.
I
Oh, I
can't do
hear that.
what I did anymore. Like that was a different version of me for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where is at that time, um was it just conferences, or were you always
That time it was just conferences. Like the first 2 years was just conferences. And then after that we added on because I was like the pipeline, like yes, there were women there, but the amount of diverse women, no. So I
right?
was like, there needs to be some data literacy programs or something to like at least expose like different intersectionalities of women to
Mm-hmm.
data and AI. So we added on different things. Like we had a datathon, we had 100 days of code, we had what's that thing called again? We'd have like meetups. We had a whole bunch of different programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you do some consulting or strategy work. Well, how has Woven sort of morphed from conferences and meetups into what it is now, and really what are the core tenets of it now?
I would say the core tenants. So we have our conference and we have that's like our flagship event. It's every May. We have our data nights. So those are more like there's a crash course on a subject, and then there's three breakout groups like business, technical, and ethics. And with that, like there's different topics. Like we've done AI agents, we've done robotics, like it matters on the topic, but it's more for that data literacy piece so more people understand the topic. We also do like founder training, so like AI consulting and AI founder training. So that's more like figuring out what they're going to offer, figuring out what their messaging is going to be, and figuring out how to monetize. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't tell, like I'm very serious about money. And I think as minoritized people, we need to be very serious about money because it gives you options. And especially with everything happening in the labor market right now, I think it's very important for people to see how they can monetize their skills. So that's how this consulting comes into play. Like I either do
Mm-hmm.
it with AI consultants and founders, like
Mm-hmm.
in a group format, or it would be like building AI literacy courses or creating AI strategy for companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the companies you work with, are they sort of SMB, small, medium, or large enterprise? Like, sort of, what's your
Mhm.
client base kind of look like?
I would say for the like AI strategy, it's more like small and medium.
Mm.
And AI literacy, it's more like the larger companies that are looking for like AI literacy programming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You would think that the large companies would have sort of AI literacy. I mean, I know they don't, but like theoretically, we think that they've got it down. Like, like if you work there, you've got to be AI literate. But it's interesting how it's not the case. So what issue does that do that? What issue does that present?
I think it's just them noticing now that it's beyond the tech teams that need to understand,
Hmm.
and also understand in a way that's actually applicable to their roles.
Hmm.
So just one thing for them to be doing, like, one of those modules that, like, everyone has to go through these 5 modules for something, and it's
Hmm.
another thing to show how AI is applicable to their role, or how, like, how to use the tools that the engineering teams are making for internal use. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people have to see themselves in it, right? And
Mhm.
they got to see the value. And I have conversations with people all the time, and they're like, you know, it can't do what I can do, and that
Mhm.
may be the case. But have you figured out how it can make you better at what you
Yeah.
do? Right? Like, and then sort of because they don't, the basic literacy is not there.
Yeah.
I think it presents a problem. But I was sitting at a Toronto Tech Week last year,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of talk about AI washing going on,
Yes,
where
yes.
companies are justifying layoffs using AI.
Mhm.
What's your perspective on that?
Mhm.
If yeah, well, what's your perspective on
I think it's as econ people,
that? I didn't want
why
to give it away.
lies. It's lies. Like, I don't think, like, we already know the majority of companies haven't even received ROI from their AI projects.
Uh-huh.
So to say that that's the reason why you're laying off people, I think is false. I
Uh-huh.
think there might be some restructuring of teams, some corrections from overhiring during the pandemic. Or like literally there's just not enough money right now to retain the team. So they're trying to figure out ways to, like, increase the money that they can keep,
Mm-hmm.
and they're seeing labor as a way to do that under the whole, like, AI narrative. I think if the larger companies didn't do it, then the smaller companies wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind
Yeah.
of, if we're not laying off the team, then we're doing the wrong thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as a company and as executives, like, you really need to think about what's best for our company, and if what you're doing makes sense for your customers. Like, I read
Mm.
something the other day that or recently, that Salesforce regrets laying off some of their staff, cuz they were
Oh.
bullish on laying off people because of AI, and now they're regretting it because it's not, like, their customer success um
Wow.
agent or whatever they were using is not performing as they expected to perform. Why are you laying off people before you know things perform as they perform? Like,
Mm-hmm.
these are all questions that, as a leadership team, like, I think leadership teams need to stop being so scared. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
whole, like, being scared of being left behind thing, like, you're only left behind, like, if you're not thinking strategically. If you're following everybody anyways, you're never gonna lead. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
need to actually, like, own the fact that you guys are leading the company.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys need to think it through properly, and these are actual people's lives.
Yeah.
So I could rant with you forever on this
No,
topic.
I
It
I
really
I
bugs me and grinds
completely
my gears.
I completely get where you're going. And what struck me about that panel that I was, watching, was the person who was talking about this was a lead AI engineer at Amazon, where he
Mhm.
was saying, I was like, bro, are
You
you
lost
good? Like, like, what's going on? And his point was, and I didn't really think about it this way. Um, if you have 50 developers, right?
Mhm,
And you give those 50 developers, uh, let's say Amazon Q, for example, right? Like a coding
mhm,
assistant, and their productivity is going to go through the roof. Their
mhm,
ability to innovate is going to increase. But if you cut half of them and give the half that are left
mhm.
Amazon Q, you get back to the same level that you were. You didn't really go anywhere, right? So he's like, why don't you just innovate more? Like, you're saving cost, but the innovation has potential revenue
Yeah,
benefits,
yeah.
right, to the business. instead of just meeting yourself probably where you were. And I was like, I didn't think of this.
And that's very like short-term thinking, like
A
of
lot.
cutting and not thinking like, okay, how could we 10x the team that we have now? Do we really need to cut them?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Decide like
Mm-hmm.
if you really need to cut them or not. And then I also heard things that people are saying that it's more of like a readjustment of wages that people will accept because after being laid off for such a long period of time, you probably will accept a lower salary just to get back into the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see how that would work. I didn't
Mhm.
think of it that way.
Yeah.
I can see a world where I think the best companies that do this, like yes, you will look for efficiencies. Absolutely, they will. You have to be reviewing everything and making sure that you're not too bloated in the wrong places when it
Yeah.
comes to your resources. Um, but what evidently is going to happen is like as you introduce AI and these agents into your workflows, and you have more agents in the loop. Yes, I agree. There are some rules that will go away,
Mhm.
but what's probably gonna should happen is that creates the development of new roles and
Mhm.
new needs and requirements, and then you probably end up back where you were anyway. But you got the plan for that, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't just go, yeah, we expect this to happen when you've never tested it before.
Yeah.
Like, you got to plan for that and know that. I forget who it was. Same thing like Salesforce, Klarna. They got rid of their whole customer support group
Mhm.
and didn't perform, and they hired everyone back. That's
Mhm.
like did you what was your plan here? Like
Yeah.
did you
Mhm.
so yeah, no, I'm with you. And I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea that if I have an issue with a product or service that I'm
Yeah.
talking to a machine. I don't like it. I want to talk to someone and feel
Yeah.
empathy.
I'm one of those people that just press 0 till you give me somebody because no, I'm not talking to this chatbot.
Hmm.
Like, I need to talk to somebody in real life, a real person.
Hmm.
Like, that's when I've gotten the best resolutions, and I think that's where I'd like to stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I feel
Mhm.
the same way. And earlier today, I was reading something, and I don't believe everything I see on Twitter. I'm like, I gotta go find the article. I haven't found it yet, but they were talking about that there have been more outages
Mhm.
um, on AWS in the last 6 months, ever
Mhm.
since they started putting. I forget the name of the tool. I gotta go find it now. I'll probably put it in the notes somewhere. As part of their SDLC and their delivery workflows.
Mhm.
Um, I forget what it is, but it's been pretty error prone, and I think they said AWS was down for 6 hours or something like that recently, and like 6 hours another couple of weeks before, and it was
Mhm.
something weird like that. And I thought, is this true?
Yeah.
Is this that would be crazy,
Mhm.
absolutely crazy.
Did you end
But
up looking into to see if you could find the link?
I didn't because it was right before this, and
Oh.
the kids were yelling and bath time and all that stuff. But you know,
Mhm.
now if you told me you can give me an AI nanny that can help me out when I'm busy, then sure, like that might work. But I still don't want to rely on it. Like my kids need a present human dad, right?
Well, actually, how do you feel about an AI nanny? Because, like, how do you feel about, like, AI being in your house like that, you
My
know?
wife and I have issues with human nannies. So and it's like we it's a running thing in our house where we feel like we take on too much personally, and like
Mhm.
we need to get a nanny and like have a nanny help us out, but we just
Yeah.
don't really know how to let go. So I
Yeah.
can't imagine myself
Yeah.
like letting go to uh, a a robot. But then we have bad experiences with human beings too. So I don't know. I haven't figured out where I fit there, but it sounds strange to me. I'm like, if it's my mom or nothing, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, also, like, that brings it back to AI washing, right? Like, a lot of
Mm,
companies saying they're using AI and they're not. Like, some of these robots is actually, like, a human on the other side directing
yeah.
the robot. So
You
it's
see the
like, you
Tesla
do
one?
have somebody in your house that you
You
don't
see
know if
that?
you don't know them.
Yeah, yeah. You see that Tesla one at the what was it? That Tesla robot show that they were doing. Like I think they introduced a cyber cab, and they had the like, I forget what they call them, but the Tesla robots were serving people drinks and dancing. Turned out it was someone remote controlling them, and like it was like I think
So
MKBHD talked about that. Like what? And I think Waymo actually had to testify that for some, I don't think it's for all functions, but they do have remote control operations for
Mhm.
those taxis for certain things. I
Yeah.
don't know what, but it sort of made a lot of people wonder, like, how real is all this automation that people are talking about? To your point.
And that's also like low paid wages in developing countries. Do you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it just like reinforces bad behavior by these companies with us being on the consumer side, just eating up anything that says it's AI.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And on that note, right? You do. I know you're a big advocate for AI ethics
Hmm.
as well. Um, it feels to me that that topic was big a year ago,
Hmm.
and now I don't hear it as much.
Oh yeah,
What-
because we're in a race. We're in a race. We don't care
Mm,
about people anymore. We're in a race. Okay?
yeah,
We're in a
yeah,
race.
we are. How do we instill the practice of AI ethics,
Hmm.
sort of, and make it global and worldwide? How do we do that before it's too late?
I don't know if we can. You said
Mm.
global, worldwide. I don't know if we can. Like, I feel like there's probably some companies that actually care about that and have people internally that can champion that work. But
Mhm,
it being global, I feel like that I don't know if that can happen. Even in Canada, like we don't have proper AI regulation right now.
mhm, mhm,
And that's something that could have been done from a while ago, but it hasn't been done. Do you know what I mean? Because I
mhm.
think there's too much fear around like this race, this AI
Yeah,
race.
yeah.
I say and I
It's
laugh, but like literally because because of the marketing around AI right now, nobody wants to take their time doing anything.
mm,
Or if they take their time doing anything, it is like their entire ethos and identity.
mhm.
Yeah.
And a lot of funding, whether it's startup funding or
Right.
um, partner investments and collaborations, all that kind of thing is pretty heavily tied to AI. Like, you're a
Yeah.
public company. What's your AI strategy? When are we going to see cost reductions due to AI? Like,
Mhm.
there are all these questions are swirling around. I think the chief AI officer is like the new hot C-suite role
Yeah.
now, like, sort of taking it out of IT,
Mhm.
um, because people are demanding it now, and you at that point there has to be velocity, right? They've got to
Yeah.
see movement. But
Mhm.
to your point, ROI on those use cases is not really showing, and why do you think that is? Why do you think people aren't seeing a return on those big investments that they
Well, you see, because 'cause we're in this race.
made?
People are forgetting basics. People are forgetting that it's going to have to be people adopting this, so they're not building for the users. They're not thinking if there's a solution that is easier than using AI. They just wanna put AI on everything. They're literally forgetting who they're building for. They're
Mm,
skipping that part. They're just being like, "Oh, like, they'll definitely want this," without testing with the users. I can't name how many subscriptions that we have at Woven that have, like, AI capabilities, and we're just here like, "We don't need that." Do you know what I mean? Like, we
mhm,
never requested that, we don't need that, we don't it's not working the way that we would have wanted it to work. But as a company right now, it's like just to say you have an AI feature doing anything is hot, right?
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So I think
Mhm,
the adoption is more on not building for the user, not having adoption throughout the company, like internally, like buy-in there.
mhm,
'Cause if your whole workforce is scared that you're going to lay them off, I doubt they're gonna buy into using these tools because they'll
right.
probably think, "Oh, is it just teaching it how to do my job?" Like, do you know what I mean?
Mhm,
So I feel like that and like actual AI literacy, both on the consumer side and internally, is probably why there's no success. And if there's not a
mhm.
proper use case from the beginning,
Yeah,
it just shouldn't be done.
yeah.
But everybody and their mom is now like, "Oh, like, can we use AI for that? Could we do AI for that?" Do you
Mm,
without thinking about, like, does it actually make sense to do AI for that? Do we have enough data for AI for that? Is the data reliable? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, basic some of the companies don't even have proper data infrastructure,
mhm,
and you're
mhm,
talking about AI,
mhm.
which
Some of
is very
them,
data hungry.
yeah, data
Yeah.
infrastructure, they don't have it. But one thing I've noticed as well is they don't have the processes in place.
Mhm.
A lot
Yeah.
of them, came from legacy on-prem infra to cloud, and they haven't sort of unwoven. Is that the right word? Like,
Emblem?
well, yeah, well, haven't untethered themselves from those processes, those legacy processes, to make
Mhm.
that work effectively, and
Yeah.
then they want to layer AI on top. And I keep saying to people, you have broken old processes that don't work in this space anymore. I
Mhm.
don't see how this is going to work unless we do the work to redesign your processes such that you can put agents in the loop, right? And
Yeah.
then things will work out. So
And
there's a
also
long way to.
understanding the costs. Like,
Mhm.
the costs can add up fast. Like, they're
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like they're not properly scoping out the projects,
Uh-huh.
bringing in the different teams and seeing how is it gonna affect you. Like, that old school format
Uh-huh.
of buy-in and things like that, they're skipping it. Like, they must
Yeah.
be skipping it because if you had all the right voices in the room, I don't understand how you're failing at such a high rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think
No,
it's
I
basic.
agree.
It has nothing to do with, like, technical skill.
Hmm. Ooh, we could pull on that thread forever. Believe me. Um, we're nearing the end of this.
Mhm.
So I got two more questions for you.
Okay.
First is, a lot of people that I talk to are trying to break into tech, right?
Mhm,
They've seen the perks, they've seen the promise of remote, or hybrid living, and everything else that they salary. My last guest talked about how she transitioned because salary was just higher from her agency marketing job.
mhm.
Um, but for someone who wants to break into the industry, um, where where should they start? Like, how should they think about it? Like, what would you tell them?
I think they should start with market research. Like, they should
Mhm.
figure out, like, what are the skills that they have, what are their interests that they have, and do some market research to figure out what roles are emerging there and how they can apply their roles there.
Mhm.
One thing I keep hearing is that, like, there's a big ask right now for, like, communications leads.
Mm,
Which is interesting because you
okay.
would think with all the LLMs and things like that, like storytelling and stuff like that would be devalued, but that's
Mhm.
actually popping up more now.
Mhm.
So I would say before you go and commit yourself to something you don't want to do, like you should actually do market research to be like, where are the opportunities here for me before you go and take a whole bunch of credentials you don't need to take.
Mhm.
And, like, I feel like it's mostly positioning and pairing yourself with the right skills. I don't think you should go back to school and do, like, a whole thing, especially if the roles, when you look them up, like, you just need the skills, you don't necessarily need, like, a master's or anything like that. Like,
Right.
if you can prove that you have the skills through the certifications in your portfolio and, like, working with, I don't know, small businesses to test out your skills and have actual proofs of concepts of what you're doing,
Mhm.
I think that's a easier route than just, like, taking a course and hoping you come out okay. Like, that
Right.
hasn't worked out for me. Like, everything that I've done, I've had, like, practical at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that advice. The thing you mentioned about communication leads is actually really interesting.
Mhm.
I'm no fan of this guy, but I heard him. I saw a clip again on Twitter. I need to delete that app,
I'm
but
like, "Who is
on
he?"
Peter Peter Thiel.
Oh.
I'm no fan, but he said that AI is coming for the numbers people, not
Mhm.
the people who write, or something. I'm paraphrasing him, something along those lines. I went, that is interesting, especially from
Mhm.
someone who's taking, who's heavily invested in this. So I
Mhm.
think you're on to something there. Absolutely. And yeah, I don't think you need to go back to school necessarily. If you like that, sure, fine.
Mhm.
But to your point, there are lots of different avenues to learn these skills and get involved with Woven as well. You know, to build those skill sets that you need to thrive in the industry. I think.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a cheaper time to learn right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
you could literally ask, like, "So how would I get into this? Can you create me a market research report of, like, roles that would fit these skills for me?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's just it's initiative at this point
Yeah.
to figure out what would make sense for you, and then if you don't find a role that makes sense for you, like, you can look into the entrepreneurship route.
Hmm.
'Cause honestly, it feels like it's 50-50 right now, like, it's either you go all in on your own thing or you go all in corporate, like, both of them seem like we have the same amount of safety.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Um, my last question for you: when you look back on your career so far, what you've built, what you've achieved, what you've done, what's mattered more? The skills that you deliberately built, or the opportunities that you didn't really plan for, but you chose to say yes to?
Definitely the opportunities I didn't plan for.
Mhm.
Definitely. But also like the skills that I built always ended up complementing them.
Mm.
Like they allowed my yes to be firm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because I've gotten a lot of opportunities and been in a lot of rooms where I don't know exactly how I got there, but I just said yes to it. Like even how I started my business was just me saying yes to like sure I can do that.
I know.
Um and I feel like that has served me well. Like I normally do things before I'm ready. I
Mhm.
normally do things without enough money. I'm like very much like my wings are supposed to come out now, right? Like like
Mhm.
I'm jumping off
Mhm.
buildings and hoping
Yes.
my parachute launches. Like that's
Yes.
on a normal daily basis.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more that I say yes to things that make sense, because you should say no when it makes no sense.
Mhm.
Say no.
Mm.
If it
Say
makes
that
no
again. I like that.
if it
Say that
makes
again.
no sense, say no. Say no.
Mhm.
Say
Mhm. Mhm.
if it's a yes to them and a no to me, it's a no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if he's gonna take
Mhm.
something from me that it doesn't make sense, it's a no.
Mhm.
Uh, but I would say like saying yes, especially in the beginning, saying yes a lot, you never know what you'll end up in. Like, look, I did the mentorship thing with you. Here I am now. Right?
You know what? It's,
Like a
here
yes.
I am talking to you. It's that's the pleasure is all mine.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
definitely just yeses, as long as it makes sense.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Kashana, I know it's late. I'm sorry for keeping you. I'm also tired. 2 hours of sleep will do that. But thank you so much for being absolutely wonderful guest. I love our conversation. I know that we could probably go back and forth on the state of AI forever, and I hope to be able to do that soon. And yeah, we got some things cooking that I'll reach out to you about.
Mhm.
But where can the people find you, learn about Woven, learn about what you're up to?
Our website is joinwoven.com. Exactly how it sounds is how it's spelled. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Kishawna Peck. I think that's
And
the only one.
when's your next conference again?
It is May 8th in Toronto at Arcadian Court and Loft.
Awesome. Awesome. We will have the details in the show notes for everyone. Please attend. You're going to learn a lot. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Kishana, thanks so much for joining again. We'll talk soon.
Thanks
Have
for
a great
having
night.
me.